What's going on, and welcome to another episode on the M5. In this video, I'm going to be showing you what I'm going to be doing for trim restoration. So as you guys can see from those close-up shots, the trim on this car definitely needs some attention. It's faded, and it also has what it looks like is someone tried to wax it or polish it or something. It wasn't for me, it was kind of how I bought it. Where there's a few areas where it's a sort of a lighter residue that looks like it could be well polished or waxed. So what we're going to be doing today is going to take care of both those things, the sun fading as well as any sort of residue that could be left over from whatever it may be. So I'll take you through the process, but before I do that, I'll tell you what products I'm going to be using today. The first one is an isopropyl alcohol and also an all-purpose cleaner. You can use either or. I like to do an all-purpose cleaner quick wipe down first, and then use this as the step I use right before I use the actual trim restoration product. It evaporates almost immediately. You know, it's alcohol, and there's nothing to it. There's no dyes, there's no color, there's no scent, there's nothing to it. So that way I'm confident that there's no extra residue before I do the trim restoration. So the trim restoration product I'm going to be using is something called Solution Finish. So the key to using a trim restoration product that's actually going to work in the long term, longer than like a day or a week or a month, is something that is not silicone based. All those Mother's products and all of the products that you see in the store are usually silicone based, which is to me kind of like a dressing. Sometimes they have other chemicals mixed in, which usually helps for longevity, but in the long run, something like this, which actually has milled carbon and no silicone-based chemicals, is actually going to fix the trim, dye it, and change it to the black color it originally was. So that is the big difference. A lot of you guys that maybe not as familiar with detailing, this is extremely expensive. This is, I believe, this tiny little bottle will probably get a few cars done. I haven't used it yet, so you might be saying, well, Brandon, you don't even have enough product there. Well, I do, because you really don't need very much. Essentially, the key is to get a product. I've actually used this before, and I know a lot of guys who've used this. It's a night and day difference between this and sort of a product off the shelf. So if you're using dressings, it's fine, but just know that that's not going to actually change the trim color permanently like this will. And to protect the trim, I have one of my favorite trim protectants, which is Gyeon trim. The point of a trim protectant is to apply like a UV coating and keep the trim nice and dark. It'll prevent dirt from building up as easily, and it'll prevent the sun from damaging the trim as easily. So this is something that I like to do as a very last step after the solution finish, because the solution finish is great, but this is going to be the topper that seals it in. Okay guys, you will have to mind the very dirty black car. I have a car wash scheduled for tomorrow, the first wash after I did a 24-hour detail, so stick around for that if it's not already up. But as you guys can see, we're all walk around. Car's very dirty, but the trim is also very faded. So I did a little wipe down, as you can see. So I used, what I ended up doing was using some detail spray above here, just because there was some dirt and I didn't want to rub the dirt into the paint. So I tried to kind of lift it up as best I could. And then for here, I actually did a wipe down. I did all-purpose cleaner as well as isopropyl alcohol, and there's definitely something here, not from me. As I mentioned, this is not from me. This is how the car was in the original pictures and videos that you guys can go back and watch if you want. But the trim is definitely absolutely faded, especially on these panels, you know, the front and back. The sides aren't as noticeable, but there's definitely some work that needs to be done. And there's some dirt accumulation, as you guys can see, you know, kind of on the top and bottom. So we're going to take care of that first, and then we're going to go to solution finish. Make sure to shake up the product as best as you can. I'm going to be using this little applicator. This is normally for a coating, but I figured this makes sense. Whatever you're going to be using, you're definitely going to have to pitch because it's going to dye the towel. Yep, you guys can see I've definitely never used this. Alright, that's all I'm going to put on for now and see how long it lasts. here's a quick close-up of exactly what the trim looks like after the solution finish. It's deep, dark, black. I mean, it's exactly what you want. It actually looks brand new. So a lot of guys I was talking to, the E39 M5 guys are insane. They'll do anything it takes to make the car look amazing, which I totally respect. But for me, I at least like to try to do something on my own before I go ahead. Really? I at least like to try something on my own before I go ahead and buy the new piece. It makes a nice video, it gives information out there, and it's a learning experience. And I just realized there's some headlight washers that I'm also going to be taking care of right now. Let's go over to this side. And as you guys can see, you know, this is very faded, it's inconsistent. You know, it looks like there's definitely some sort of little waviness to it, and there's some just junk kind of built up on it, so that's no good. Obviously, it made a big difference here. Guys, just checking in with you. I actually decided to do the little windshield wiper sort of rain deflector. I don't actually remember what the name of these things are. For, you know, snow and ice and rain, I think it's just meant to sort of sweep it down and keep stuff from flying back on the windshield. And I did do the metal, which is probably pointless with the solution finish. As you can see, it's drying there right now, and then that is not touched. I guess this is, I can't tell if this is, that is plastic for sure. I just knocked on it. So I'm actually going to do this, and I did not do this side yet. So you guys will be able to see the differences, and I will coat these little deflectors here. You know, of course, I know you can buy them for like 30 bucks brand new, but you know, why not put it in shape, get it back into shape on your own, like literally free of charge. You don't have to buy new pieces. So let's do a quick little walk around with solution finish. It's drying about 30 minutes. I think that should be plenty of time, and then you can kind of just buff off any excess. I will note, you know, if you get a little bit on the paint, it's no big deal. That's what's nice about this. With the coating, you're gonna have to make sure not to get the trim coating on the paint, because it'll leave a really weird residue and you won't be able to get it off very easily. So as you can see, it's kind of looking a little bit streaky. It's not fully dry yet. But it is looking a little bit lighter, you know, when it's not dark. So that is normal. Sort of when you buff it off, that'll help it as well. And then I'm really stoked about these windshield wipers. I wasn't really planning on doing it. And then I'm pretty sure this piece is metal. I just did a quick little wipe on it. I don't really think that's gonna do anything, but you never know. Okay guys, after it's been maybe 30 or so minutes, some guys wait a little longer, some guys don't wait as long, but all I do is just a quick little buff. You know, you can see that there's a little bit of residue left over, so you don't want any built up on it. That's really the key here. All I'm gonna do is just a quick little, just a once over. And as you can see, you know, there's a little bit of black on there, but no big deal. I actually wiped down the rest of the trim, and it looks like this side's still drying, so we're gonna have to wait on this side, and it's also in the sun. But you'll also see, I'm noticing that this trim, the back especially, looks really good. Really the biggest reason for that, I would say, is probably because this trim is a little more porous than this trim. You can kind of see, you know, the little bumps in there, where if you go over here, it's completely flat. So a trim like this is not going to soak in a trim restorer as well. So probably just won't make it as dark. But either way, you guys could still see the difference on the 50/50 shots earlier. Okay, Gyeon trim, guys. Semi-permanent trim coating. You definitely want to shake up the bottle. And this takes about 5 minutes to cure, maybe less depending, you know, if it's warm or whatever. Just keep an eye on it, and then we do a similar buffing off method of just buffing off and kind of, I don't know if it's leveling out per se, but I just do a quick little buffing off. All right, so you're gonna, I don't like to use the square applicator. I prefer just using the rag with my finger. You see I did kind of a little line right there, and that's gonna go exactly in line with the trim. Just make sure you don't get any on the paint. If you keep it organized just in this little line here, I'm sure you guys have a few other tricks up your sleeve for doing something like this. I didn't get any on the paint. Let it dry for about 2 to 5 minutes, and then we're gonna buff it off. Guys, it's been about 5 minutes, I would say. All we're gonna do is a quick little buff. I just, you know, put my 2 fingers in here and then just go around and just get any excess. And now is a good time to sort of inspect the edges. If you got any trim or anything like that on the edges, of course the little sprayers are looking good. That is gonna do it. As you guys can see, it looks like we need to wipe down this one where this first part looks a lot better. Okay guys, we finally got it wiped down. This looks a lot better. There's no little streaks. It looks very even. It looks proper. It looks brand new. The biggest transformation was absolutely the front and rear trim. As I mentioned, the middle trim is less porous, so that's kind of what I'm attributing to the fact that the transformation just wasn't as intense, but it is black and it is back. Anyways, I hate to show you guys the dirty car, but just logistically speaking, it's not going to work out today. It is supposed to rain literally in about like 4 hours. It's actually looks really beautiful right now in the sky. It definitely does. The cloudy day definitely helped with a project like this, because you don't really want to be working in the sun. But here is your quick walk around. As you can see, you can at least see me in the reflection now. The car really is in pretty good shape. It's just very dirty from a few weeks of driving through the rain. And I guess that's it. We got the trim totally in good shape. I have literally no reason to buy new trim at this point. Oh, I will mention, I did put the solution finish on these windshield wipers. I didn't coat them. I guess my thought is I'm going to be dealing with this trim, and you might be asking, Brandon, you know, you just did the bottom trim, you missed half the trim on the car. Well, there's only a little bit of trim kind of right here. There's nothing here, you know, this is shadow line, and then there's trim here. So ideally I would have taken care of this as well, and I normally would in any normal car, but there's a few areas where this is, you know, cracking. You know, it's a 15-year-old car and it has been exposed to the sun, so there's gonna be a few rubber pieces that I will be replacing. That's the reason I didn't really pay attention to this, just because if I'm gonna be replacing it, you know, I have a lot going on, guys, so you have to understand that I sort of have to take little bites sometimes. You know, the fact that I was even able to get this done today is great. It's one step in the right direction for this car. I really need to do some sort of exhaust or something on this thing, because it's seriously driving me crazy how quiet it is. It's really weird. I think I would enjoy driving it a lot more if it actually sounded like something. Alright, so that's going to do it, guys, for the trim restoration process on my E39 M5. This thing is really definitely taking steps in the right direction here. I'm constantly ordering a few things every few weeks to try to upgrade the car. I really want to do a shifter, I really want to do an exhaust. I will be doing another better headlight restoration in the future. So I ended up just polishing these and they're not 100% as clear as I think they could be, so that will be another series where I actually do it the right way. I'm gonna put links for the products I use in the description below. It's only like 2 or 3 things, but I think that they are very high quality and they are definitely products that you can keep around the arsenal for an extended period of time, whether you have 1 car or 17 cars or you detail on your own or not. I think that the stuff I was using today is by far one of my favorite products, the solution finish especially. You know, leave a comment below if there's any questions, shoot me an email, I have it in the description. But essentially, you know, the solution finish is a lot different than what you guys see in Walmart or AutoZone or even on Amazon. The back to black stuff is not good. It doesn't last nearly as long. This stuff, I mean, we will have to see how long it lasts. You know, maybe if this car sits in the sun for, you know, 6 months, it looks gray again. We'll have to find out. So anyways, leave a comment below. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you peeps next time.